Welcome to Plot Twist, your place for quick summaries of movies with jaw-dropping twists. Let's dive in. Our series, The Boys, Season 1 begins with two thieves stealing a bank car. Two members of the Seven, Queen Maeve and Homelander, intervene and stop them, beating the thieves. We are then introduced to Huey, who works at an electronics store. His girlfriend, Robin, comes to pick him up. While they are standing on the sidewalk talking, Robin suddenly disappears, and Huey is splattered with blood. It turns out that A-Train, a superhero known for his super speed, accidentally ran into Robin while running, killing her instantly. A-Train flees the scene, leaving Huey in shock. Next, we meet Starlight, a superhero with powers such as emitting strong light beams from her hands and controlling electricity. She dreams of joining the Seven, a group of superheroes who save the world. Meanwhile, Huey watches A-Train on television apologizing for Robin's death, claiming he was chasing the thieves and that Robin was standing in the middle of the street. Huey, however, knows Robin was on the sidewalk and becomes angry. His father tries to calm him down, saying A-Train would lie. A lawyer from Vought, the company that owns the Seven, approaches Huey, offering him $45,000 as compensation for Robin's death in exchange for not suing A-Train. Huey is hesitant and says he will think about it, but deep down, he wants to sue to get justice for Robin. Starlight, meanwhile, visits Vought's headquarters after being accepted as a member of the Seven. The company's director, Madeline Stillwell, announces the company's profits from movies, advertisements, and merchandise featuring their superheroes. They introduce their seven main heroes: A-Train, the Deep, Translucent, Black Noir, Queen Maeve, Homelander, and now Starlight. After her introduction, the Deep takes Starlight to the Seven's social office and shows her around. Starlight confesses she used to admire him, but he takes advantage of her and blackmails her into staying silent to keep her position in the Seven. After that, we meet an officer named Billy Butcher who goes to meet Huey. He tells him, "I know what happened to your girlfriend Robin." He says, "I'm here to help you because superheroes cause the deaths of hundreds of people every year. The matter of Robin, which the media barely mentioned, is because superheroes cause the deaths of hundreds of people every year. The reason the media didn't cover Robin's case much is that superheroes are involved in advertisements, movies, and games, generating a lot of money. They've become like a commercial industry run by politicians and corporations. So of course, they'll cover up anything that tarnishes their superheroes. But the truth is, these heroes' actions are evil, and I personally want to get rid of them." Huey was scared and wanted to leave, but Billy convinced him that together they could get justice for Robin. He takes him to a place where all the superheroes go, away from the eyes of the press. There they do all sorts of immoral things, even though they act like angels and role models in front of people. Billy tells him the exception among them is Homelander, who has never smoked or drank anything before. Then he tells him, "I investigated and found out that A-Train was with some thieves when the incident happened. Apparently he was running for a specific reason, and we need to find out why." He suggests Huey agree to the settlement with the company, but on the condition that he be present to apologize. That way, they'll take him to the Seven's headquarters, where he will plant a listening device. Huey strongly refused because he's inherently a coward, so he left. Later, the manager Stillwell sat down with the mayor of a town called Baltimore. They were discussing a deal for a superhero to fight crime in his town. The two disagreed, and the mayor told her, "By the way, I have information about the compound." Stillwell pretended not to know what compound he was talking about and ended the meeting. Later, by coincidence, Huey meets Starlight, but didn't know who she was. He wasn't interested because of the whole A-Train situation. They talked, and he called the lawyer from Vought. The lawyer agreed, and Billy explained to him what to do and where to place the listening device. Huey entered the Seven's building and sat in the meeting room. A-Train met him and apologized to him. Before signing the papers, Huey went to the bathroom to remove the listening device. The device fell, but he picked it up again. However, at that moment, the invisible superhero Translucent, who has the ability to become invisible, saw him. Huey panicked and stuck the device under the table. Later, Translucent followed Huey to his shop while invisible and threw the device back at him. He grabbed him and started beating him, but Billy intervened and hit him with a car. Billy tried to fight him, but couldn't, because the man was invisible. However, Huey managed to electrocute him, rendering him unconscious. They thought he was dead, and Billy wanted to put him in the car trunk, but Huey refused and said they should call the police and explain what happened. At this point, Billy admitted he wasn't an officer, but a retired one. We then go to the mayor of Baltimore, who was previously with Stillwell, but is now on his private plane. Suddenly, Homelander appears flying next to him and destroys the plane with his laser vision. We return to Huey, who is shocked by what he hears from Billy. Billy asks for his help and offers him incentives, saying, "I want you to help me." Billy and Huey take Translucent to a friend named Frenchie, who also despises superheroes. They imprison Translucent in a cage that electrocutes him if he tries to escape. Stillwell becomes suspicious about Translucent's disappearance and orders the Seven to investigate. As the story unfolds, we see the darker side of superheroes and the length lengths Vought will go to protect their image. Huey and Billy continue their mission to expose the truth and seek justice for Robin, while Starlight struggles to navigate the corrupt world of the Seven. This band, when they went, couldn't find anything, and Stillwell later met with the minister and talked to him about recruiting superheroes into the U.S. Army. He completely refused, saying it wasn't in America's best interest, so Stillwell blackmailed him with compromising photos. After that, Homelander went after Translucent, tracking his last known location to search for him personally. Billy and his group decided to implant a bomb in Translucent's body, which terrified him since he could actually die. Translucent fled to Robin's place and caused chaos at his friend Bob Cola's house. They obtained some information, and Billy was about to detonate him, but Frenchie noticed Homelander flying above them on the camera. They panicked because Homelander could see through any roof from the sky, and his powers were incredibly strong. If they detonated Translucent, it could end badly for them. So they got in the car and contacted someone to figure out a solution. They poured water on the electrical device connected to the cage and managed to open it. Frenchie noticed someone banging on the glass, and Huey was still inside with the bomb device. Homelander inspected the shipment Frenchie was hiding in, and Billy managed to hide from him. Eventually, Huey hesitated to kill Translucent, but ultimately detonated the bomb, killing him. Afterward, Billy left with Frenchie and Huey, blowing up the entire place. Next, we see Starlight, who was becoming increasingly popular among the public. Stillwell's assistant offered her a new costume, but Starlight refused because it was too revealing. Stillwell insisted, saying she wouldn't be part of the team unless she wore the new costume, essentially treating her like a product. Billy visited an old friend named Mr. Milk and recruited him to help take down Vought and the superheroes. Now, the human team consisted of 4 members. They began monitoring Bob Cola, A-Train's girlfriend. They brought Mr. Milk to her house, pretending to be internet repair technicians. Huey accessed her computer and wrote codes to open her cameras for Billy and Frenchie. As they were leaving, Huey bumped into A-Train, but luckily, A-Train didn't recognize him. They continued monitoring and overheard A-Train talking to his girlfriend about Compound V. The team had no idea what it was until then. She tried to convince him not to use it, because the last time he did, he accidentally killed a girl in the street, Robin. It turned out that Compound V was like a steroid for superheroes, enhancing their powers, but sometimes making them lose control. A-Train needed it for a race against another speedster. He took the compound, and now the team wanted to get their hands on it and gather all the evidence to report it to U.S. intelligence. A-Train had to win the race. Otherwise, he'd be kicked out of the Seven, since they wouldn't want the fastest man alive to lose his title. Starlight appeared at the event in her new costume. Huey saw her, greeted her, and finally realized she was part of the Seven, something he hadn't known until then. He sat with her again, and they got to know each other better. Meanwhile, Frenchie broke into A-Train's room to find Compound V, but failed. A-Train, under the influence of the compound, participated in the race, which ended in less than a second, with A-Train winning. Later, the team saw Bob Cola taking the compound, which gave her immense powers, accidentally killing her landlord. The team confronted her and promised not to report her as long as she told them everything about Compound V. Meanwhile, debris from a body was found in the ocean, and Stillwell informed Homelander that someone wanted to declare war on them, and they needed to find out who. Billy visited in intelligence, showing her photos of Bob Cola using the compound. He wanted her to act quickly because superheroes might become military leaders. She agreed to help, but demanded stronger evidence, including a sample of the compound itself. Billy confronted Bob Cola, threatening her with a video of her killing the man, demanding to know where A-Train got the compound. She revealed that he always went to the supermarket before obtaining it. Huey, Frenchie, and Mr. Milk infiltrated the supermarket's warehouse, where Frenchie discovered a caged Japanese girl. When they freed her, a gang attacked them. The Japanese girl turned out to be a superhero and killed everyone. She then charged at the team, but they managed to lock themselves in. The girl escaped, and Frenchie searched the area where she had been held, finding a paper with an address on it. Billy joined them, and they found the compound at the location. Billy declared they needed to find the Japanese girl and understand why she had been injected with the compound. Stillwell decided to cover up a superhero's death, claiming it was part of a secret mission to convince the military to recruit superheroes. News broke of terrorists hijacking a plane with passengers on board. Stillwell sent Homelander and Maeve to rescue the plane, seeing it as an opportunity to showcase what superheroes could do that the military couldn't. They boarded the plane, killed the terrorists, and received applause from the passengers. But when they entered the cockpit, they found another terrorist who had killed the pilot. Homelander accidentally destroyed the controls with his laser vision, dooming the plane. Maeve suggested they save the passengers one by one, but Homelander refused, mocking the idea of making over 100 trips. He decided they would abandon the plane, leaving everyone to die. Maeve tried to save 2 girls, but Homelander stopped her, arguing it would look bad to save only 2 people and leave the rest. He threatened the passengers with his laser vision to keep them quiet, took Maeve with him, leaving the plane to crash into the ocean. The team tracked the Japanese girl to a station. When they found her, she ran, but A-Train caught her and started beating her to death. Frenchie distracted the crowd, encouraging them to take pictures with A-Train, allowing the girl to escape. The team followed her, and Billy subdued her with a smoke bomb containing a sedative. Meanwhile, Huey was out with Starlight, and under Billy's orders, he planted a tracking device in her phone, tracking panicking. Homelander started talking about the plane crash. He seemed very upset and said, "We arrived 3 minutes late, and that's because we're not at the forefront of authority. Air Defense should have contacted us first." He got angry and said, "If they allowed us to bring the military in, this situation wouldn't happen again." His speech greatly impressed Stillwell. A train managed to catch his girlfriend in conversation and realized she had told 4 guys about Compound V. Afterward, he injected her with a large dose of heroin and she died. He informed Homelander about what had happened. Homelander warned him about Compound V and told him to monitor the Japanese girl. Frenchie took the Japanese girl to his house, prepared food for her, and tried to talk to her, but she wouldn't respond. She attacked him and almost killed him, but he managed to tie her up. Then we moved to Evelyn Tedeni at Vault Company. Our team went there, and Huey met someone. When he saw Ashley, the assistant, he tried to hide from her because she might recognize him. Billy tried to convince Huey to use her to get what they needed, and he convinced him to approach her to mediate and introduce him to someone named Ezekiel. They knew he was the one smuggling Compound V into the country. Billy gave him a video from the bar to blackmail Ezekiel and make him talk. Everyone was happy when they saw Homelander. Homelander greeted them and seemed cheerful, but as soon as he entered a closed space, the fake smile disappeared from his face. A-Train went to his girlfriend's house and watched the surveillance camera footage. That's when he saw our team entering his girlfriend's place. The only one whose face was visible was Frenchie, so he took a picture of his face and sent it to the company. When Huey entered, he saw someone he knew, and later Huey spoke to Ezekiel privately, blackmailing him with the video he had. He managed to gather information from him and informed Mr. Milk that Ezekiel had a charitable organization. He was receiving boxes full of Compound V and distributing them to hospitals. The last shipment went to a maternity hospital. Mr. Milk informed Billy, and they decided to head to that hospital. Later, Frenchie's girlfriend called him and told him that Black Noir was looking for him at his old address. He immediately informed Billy, who told him to leave the Japanese girl in the place he was in. Frenchie complied, untied her, and she escaped immediately. Then we moved to Starlight, who was supposed to speak on religious topics with a script prepared for her, but she got angry with the company's control and said, "I'm saying this from a written script in front of me." She spoke her mind and mentioned what the Deep tried to do to her, but without naming him. Her words upset Stillwell. Meanwhile, Billy and Milk were at the hospital and discovered that Compound V was being injected into a baby. The compound turned the baby into a superhuman with laser eyes. Billy realized that all superheroes were created using this compound when they were children. Billy took the sample he needed, but security arrived and started shooting at them. They managed to hide, and Billy used the baby to kill the guards. Later, we learned that Stillwell and Homelander are in a relationship. While Frenchie was escaping, he encountered Black Noir, but the Japanese girl intervened, attacked him, and gestured for Frenchie to run away. A confrontation ensued between her and Black Noir, but Black Noir managed to kill her. Frenchie returned, feeling devastated, but found her wounds healing rapidly. Stillwell met with Starlight and threatened her position in the Seven if she spoke her mind again. Starlight responded, "If you fire me after what I said, it will only prove I was right." She mentioned that the company's stock prices would drop. The Japanese girl became almost a member of the boys' team, and Frenchie believed she was the key to uncovering everything. Billy noticed Huey getting close to Starlight, so he took him to a small meeting where everyone shared their problems. The issues discussed revolved around their relationships with superheroes. One person shared how he had a relationship with an ice girl, and his jaw was broken because of her. Huey felt a bit uncomfortable hearing that. Later, Stillwell realized that the Deep was the one Starlight was referring to. She told him, "You need to appear in front of the public and announce you're taking a long leave from the Seven because we're sending you to another state." She bluntly told him, "You need to stay out of the media spotlight for a while because Starlight might reveal what you tried to do to her." Billy later sat with Huey and told him about his wife, Rebecca. He revealed that Homelander had raped his wife 8 years ago and that the last time he saw her was in the same place they were in. Since then, no one has seen her. Billy speculated that either Homelander killed her or she committed suicide. This revelation explained Billy's motivation for seeking revenge against superheroes. He told Huey to always remember who their enemies and allies were. Later, Mr. Milk brought a superhero named Mesmer, whose power was reading thoughts by touching someone's hand. They brought him to read the Japanese girl's thoughts since she hadn't spoken a single word. When he touched her hand, she attacked him. Frenchie calmed her down and convinced her to let Mesmer touch her hand again. Mesmer discovered that she had been a soldier with terrorists. The team realized that Vought was planning to create superpowered terrorists, perhaps so that Homelander would be the only one capable of defeating them, which would justify involving superheroes in the military. Frenchie refused to label her as such. She grabbed Mesmer's hand, and it was revealed that her parents were killed, and she and her brother were forcibly turned into soldiers. Her brother's name was Komoko, and she wanted to rescue him from the camp. Billy went to his contact, Susan, from the intelligence agency, and presented the evidence he had gathered. He demanded salaries for himself and the team, an office, legal protection, and Homelander to be prosecuted. She told him she'd present the case to her superiors, but warned him that prosecuting Homelander was nearly impossible. Later, Mesmer contacted A-Train to arrange a meeting with Homelander. He handed over pictures of the boys' team, knowing they were after him. Mesmer asked to join Vought. Homelander saw a picture of Huey, whom he had met before, and lingered on it. Huey and Starlight had grown very close. We then flash back to 8 years ago at a party hosted by Vought. Billy's wife, Rebecca, was the social media marketing manager for the company. Homelander entered the party and greeted them. Billy disliked him from the first moment he saw him. Returning to the present, Billy was watching Huey. In Starlight, Homelander recognized Billy from the photo and gathered all the 7 members. He expressed his disappointment in them, saying, "Even though we're now 5 instead of 7, I know the reason why." He displayed a picture of Huey, revealing his relationship with someone who had killed and blackmailed Mesmer. Starlight was shocked and in disbelief. What he heard and said was that the problem started when he killed his girlfriend. But what helped him and brought him to us here was her. Looking at her with lasers, he said the problem started when A-Train killed his girlfriend. But what helped him and brought him to us here was Starlight. He looked at her with lasers and said to her, "All this started when you came into our midst." Maeve defended her, saying maybe she really didn't know. Homelander left the situation to Maeve, left them, and walked away. Then we go to Huey, who enters and tells his team that he doesn't want to continue with them. Billy was about to hit him, but Huey found his father calling him. A-Train answered instead of him and told him, "Come to me alone or I'll kill your father." The team discovered that they had all been exposed, their bank accounts were frozen, and they understood that Mesmer was the reason. Huey immediately went home and found him. Huey managed to calm him down, saying, "I have a large dose of compound vibe." They sat talking, and he said, "Because of you, my girlfriend died, and I killed your girlfriend unintentionally, but you did everything on purpose." The Japanese girl came from behind and struck him hard on the leg, dragged him out, and Billy went to Mesmer, grabbed him, and beat him until he killed him. Then we flash back again, and there's an intelligence officer named Grace who implicated Billy with a recording of Rebecca and Homelander. She told him that she was with him in the room for 3 hours. She said that since then, Rebecca hasn't come to the company, and maybe Homelander is involved. Afterward, all our team members brought their families to the hiding place. Homelander went to visit the man who raised him, who used to work at Vought. When he brought up Rebecca, he told him that Rebecca had come to them a long time ago because she was pregnant with his child. They agreed with her not to tell anyone and to disappear, even from her husband. He said that the childbirth was difficult, she died after losing a lot of blood, and the child died after her. This matter was strange and exceptional because supposedly no super can reproduce. Later, Susan from Intelligence arrives at the boys' team, takes their families to a safe place, and collects a sample of Compound V. Starlight talks to Huey, saying she wants to meet him and for him to explain everything. Susan goes to Stillwell, confronts her about Compound V, and takes a sample. Starlight tells Huey she wants to meet him and understand everything. Susan confronts Stillwell about Compound Phi and the injection of children with it. She tells her that, as a start, they must withdraw their proposal for superheroes to join the U.S. Armed Forces. If they refuse, lawsuits will be filed against them, and their stock value will drop to zero. However, Susan receives a video of a rogue superhero killing and blowing up some American soldiers, only to later find out that he's alive. Huey goes to Starlight, who is very upset with him, thinking he was using her to get revenge on A-Train. He tells her no, it's all about Compound V, and explains what it does. Suddenly, Billy Butcher appears and shoots at Starlight before running off. Of course, she doesn't die from the bullets. Homelander then goes to the American military camp and kills all the rogue superhumans. Stillwell and her company claim to America that they have no connection to these rogue superhumans, implying that someone copied their Compound V. She tells the minister that it doesn't matter how they copied it, but what's important is that they are the only company with the antidote and the strongest superhero on Earth, Homelander. The intelligence agency decides to postpone the Compound Phi case due to the rogue superhumans. Susan tells Billy that the Department of Defense has reached an agreement with Vought, making them fugitives. Their only solution is to flee. Starlight confronts her mother about Compound Phi, discovering she was injected with it as a child. The police raid the boys' hideout, inject the Japanese girl, causing her to faint, and arrest Frenchie and Mr. Milk. Billy and Huey learn of their capture and realize their only option is to go to Stillwell. Huey refuses to continue, feeling there's no point in revenge. Billy gets angry and leaves him. Homelander later attended a party attended by ministers and high-ranking people, and they all praised Homelander for his work against the terrorists. Afterward, the police found Huey and arrested him, throwing him in jail with Frenchie and Mr. Milk. But it turned out Huey intentionally got himself arrested to save them. He had a metal wire hidden in his teeth, and Mr. Milk managed to use it to unlock the cuffs and escape. They went to rescue the Japanese girl. Soldiers were shooting at them, and they were about to be captured again, but Starlight appeared, fought off the soldiers, and helped them escape. However, A-Train appeared, and a confrontation began between him and Starlight. A-Train managed to hit her and was about to finish Huey. But he suddenly collapsed due to Compound V abuse. They tried to help him and called an ambulance. Meanwhile, Billy entered Stillwell's house and found her inside. He realized she was Homelander's only weakness. He tied her up in a suit filled with explosives and held the detonator in his hand. Homelander arrived and met Billy, provoking him by talking about Rebecca. He told him, "The best I can do for you is harm Stillwell." Homelander said, "You're supposed to be sure I killed her, but you have no proof." He told Stillwell, "I went back to Vogelbaum and learned the truth you hid from me." Because of her lies to him all this time, Homelander killed Stillwell. He looked at Billy and said, "What were you going to do now?" Billy didn't hesitate and blew up the place with himself inside. Afterward, Billy woke up to find himself in a garden with Homelander beside him. It turned out Homelander had saved him from the explosion. They saw Homelander's son and Rebecca alive. This was the truth Stillwell had hidden from Homelander to keep him focused on his work. Billy was, of course, shocked, while Homelander was thrilled to have a son who inherited his genes. And that's the summary of the first season. Stay tuned for the summary of the second season. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.